My great-grandma Gladys Reynolds grew up in Portland, Oregon, where she then later moved to Salem and ended up settling down and marrying her husband Clifford Jackson. This is about her life during and after World War II in America.
All we could think about, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then when Roosevelt was, of course, was in office at that time, and we listened to him, and he had a really assurance.
So it cuts out here, but what she continues to say is, and in my mind, I believed that they couldn't possibly invade us. I don't know if it's because I was youthful or what, but when Jack came home, he was in Pearl Harbor, he got hurt on a ship, his hand was cut here, and he was out for a while and then home for the war, and we struggled through rationing.
And so we all walked to school, and we laughed a lot, we sang a lot. I don't think we let the outside world interfere with our lives because we were too far removed from it. Japan seemed a long time. And I think the bothered us the most was when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. My mother called them everything but white.
Yeah.
And then during the Rose Parade after that, they brought Japanese ships into Portland Harbor, and my mother really swore then. And couldn't do the Rose Parade. And why they brought them in is goodwill, I guess.
Yeah.
During World War II, you couldn't just buy anything you wanted. The government started rationing out food because of the short supply during the war. Consumer goods were less important than putting effort into the war.
But, just a terrible, terrible depression area, But nobody complained about the rations. Like gas, there was a gas ration.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have stamps for meat. There was a shortage of a lot of things that we were used to having, but I didn't hear anybody complain. Of course, women might have thought under their breath about, do I have to get a coupon to buy a pair of shoes?
Mm-hmm.
So that might have been, but it was a joke,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Because those things weren't important, because all you could think about was those poor boys over there trying to get something for them to eat.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest entertainment was the 10-cent movie,
Yeah.
which we didn't always get to go to because there was 6 of us.
Right.
My mom and dad couldn't make. But they had a roller rink, so that was the fun thing for people, the kids that could afford it.
Yeah.
So that, but other than that, we just had neighborhood kids where you played Annie over and
Yeah.
or kick the can or hide and seek.
Made it fun.
Some of the other fun ones, but we had big neighborhoods. My family was pretty family oriented. My daddy had controlled, TV or radio. We only had one radio,
Mm-hmm.
of course, and we had a cell phone or a telephone, but it was a party line, so we weren't allowed to use it.
Right.
It wasn't important. They didn't think it was. But you had to watch baseball on the weekends, and then during the week there was a lot of fun shows that I don't know if my dad cared about them or not, but that's when Daddy ruled the house.
Right. Yeah.
Not really. She did later.
Yeah. Do you know what
She did during the war. My mom cleaned house. No, she ironed and cooked for a doctor for extra money. We were on, what do you call it? What's relief? I don't know what it was called. Relief or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we got powdered milk and whatever. That my dad didn't like that at all because
Yeah.
my dad lost his job too. And then when it opened up, he got his job back. So, she did ironing for a doctor, Dr. Dyke. Why I remember that, I don't know. But then later, when my kids were all out, my mother went to work for Pacific Outfitting on Grand Avenue in a dress shop. So. did. It affected families a lot because they all had children that were gone. And if one of your boys was in the service, I can't remember, I think if they were killed, you got a gold star in your window. And that's all I remember, but there was a lot of sadness.
Yeah.
Too, because all the boys were, unless it was that joke, they're either too young or too old. Remember when they were dating? And I think that was pretty true, because most of our kids had gone. Most of our friends were in the service. All my girlfriends that I went to high school with, their husbands were in the service.
Yeah.
During World War II, families would hang a blue star in their window to represent a member who was off at war. Then, as more men died in combat, the blue star would be replaced with a gold one, thus starting the organization called American Gold Star Mothers, which was brought together to create a bond amongst families who lost men in the war as well as create support for them.
Lots of tears, lots of prayers, praying that God, the kids would come back, because they were young, you get into the service. In fact, Jack lied and said that he was, I think said 18, and I saw it on one of his cards later, and I said, you lied, because I know how old you are. Some of them might have lied, but in those days maybe they didn't have the records they have now of kids.
Yeah.
But, just a terrible, terrible.
In 1943, Congress lowered the draft age to 18, but that didn't stop many boys from enlisting early and lying about their age, which is what my great-grandpa did. Many boys lied about their age because they felt a strong sense of patriotism. They felt it was their duty to fight for this country.
Ran around together. And I don't want to bore you, but I think the first time I met him, he said, we're going to get married. This kid's crazy. Moore did something for this guy. Because that was the furthest thing from your mind.
Right.
Because I was in high school by then. But he just kept hanging around.
How old were you when you got married? Do you remember?
17.